I really.
Presentation 10 after.
10. Yep. Check and see if I can get it.
Yeah, they're kind of handy. Same thing, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. There's another sheet. You want it?
So you think everyone knows how to record that? So, PowerPoint. Oh, yeah. There's a. You can use it.
Oh, there's one.
It should.
I know, yes, yes. Kiddos or yeah, sure. Actually, there's two different kinds. You guys want one of each? I know that's what it's like. What is the battery?
I'm just not sure how to do this.
You know what, I should just lay them on. Okay, that was true. The red ones? What are the red ones? You know, it's right around me. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I like that. Oh, thank you. I see what you said. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? There's another sign-in sheet here if you want it.
Hey, how you doing?
I know. See, I lit them up so people know what they are. I know, there's two different ones. Thank you. Yes. Our wages. Started looking up so people would think that. Oh, they're just here and bike or out in the dark, which on your way over to public meeting.
Oh. Not yet. Oh, your garage doors will drive through.
I know, right?
No, I'm.
Yeah, I know, you never find those anymore. I'll need to get you out of You have no idea. Now, people know. Well, we tried really hard, but I don't know. Yeah, thank you.
No, up front and center. What's on next place to be, because they look like. Well, not maybe the folks.
Sorry, you're on your way here.
As soon as they can get to the little especially the local. Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming, everybody. Just wanted to let you know that we'll start the presentation at 6:10 according to our invitation sent out. So feel free to ask questions, mingle around, and look at the boards, for a few minutes, and we'll start our presentation at 6:10. So, thanks for coming.
How you doing,
What's up,
man?
Chad?
It's new, man.
Much. What do you know?
Oh, no, you're not.
Living in future. Yep.
I'm ready to stay.
You live right now.
460.
Working for UL. That's
Very
where you going? Good. Okay. Good for you.
Let's stay, but a lot.
There's definitely something to be said for that.
Just at the end of the day, go home and I'm done. Hold on my hip on and off all night.
Yeah.
Couple hours a week on Friday. I don't have to put in extra time. I do. I just don't use it.
I like that.
It's a cool little.
Like,
Wow.
so, yeah, so we're actually, no, that's the microphone. We're broadcasting live on YouTube.
If they had that on the side, you'd have to get
Couldn't fit that many characters. So yeah, we're actually going to start the formal presentation at 6:10.
Wow, I mean, you're splitting up your own out everything.
So
Parents do. Where are they at these days?
what's that?
Where are they at?
We live on kind of 41st and Sycamore, is the town there.
It's like this in church room. Where are they at? Half the fire department here.
Were you in it?
I was.
You were.
Maybe again. I think these are our last job.
How many hours a week for volunteer does it usually take? Depends.
It's not bad. When you're out of town every Wednesday, that's all the meetings and trainings are.
We're all with HR Green. And then Steve Graham from DOT, Travis Dress, and Brad Remick, Kerry Cleveland.
Chris. Chris.
I turned him off.
Chris. There's a lot of air going Or you can sit by Nick. Nobody want to sit by him. She's better looking than I am.
Exactly.
And he sees me more often than you do.
Exactly. Oh, that would.
Entrance only or something. 64. So I can just go north quarter.
Yes. That's the plan right now. That's
Exit entry.
option one.
You go south and get off. Get on there. That's it. Get rid of a lot of the traffic. Because I got it.
Really? All hours of the day? Really? Oh. Yeah. Yeah. If they're small, just email them, but if they're big, we upload them to the FTP site. Yeah.
They put them all in files. When you get plans for hospitals.
Right.
We don't have access to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Find some evidence of I know what to do with the property. The township is responsible Anything shorter than that, these townships that back then, they whatever size county took care of that all townships had to build in the button. Nikki, we should have carpool.
We should have room for cars.
3 cars.
That's not very efficient, is it?
Hank here, we could have got the whole neighborhood.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Well done. It's probably.
I didn't even build it high enough, I don't run cranes and stuff in there.
That's the plan. Build it right.
I don't know, it didn't have problems, so I don't know if it's
No, it actually
one was just an 8.
right.
So you get that overpass there. You said I don't want anybody else to do that.
Well, thanks everybody. I think we'll go ahead and get started at 6:10. We'll get started with the formal presentation, and then afterwards there will be time for you all to mingle around and look at the boards we have in the back and ask any of us with name tags questions. So welcome to the second public meeting of the I-90 Exit 387 Interchange Study and Environmental Study. I'm Ben White with HR Green. And HR Green, along with KLJ, is teaming with the South Dakota DOT, FHWA, the Sioux Falls MPO, Minnehaha County, and the city of Hartford to complete this study. So right now we're in the study phase, which we're anticipating to complete in September of 19. And then after that, final design will start. And construction for this interchange is programmed currently for fiscal year 2025. And as most of you are aware, there were a couple of bridge strikes in 2014 and 2016 to the girder underneath the bridge. And this caused the need for repairs. And during the repairs, it caused partial closures to the bridge. And basically, we wanted to reiterate the structure is safe, but if this girder is hit a third time, the DOT's position is that it can't be fixed a third time and it would need to be replaced, which would mean more closures, if not a full closure while the bridge is being repaired.
So don't be the third guy to hit the bridge.
That's right. And so, just an overview of where we've been. We gathered information and established a purpose and need statement. We developed and evaluated concepts. And right now, we're in the process of refining and evaluating the build options, or the kind of the final layouts, which is what we're looking for input from all of you. And then after this public meeting, going forward to the end of the study, we'll be developing the interchange report and environmental documents. And so just a graphic view of the schedule. We're here now at public meeting number 2 and anticipating to submit the interchange report in January, get started on the environmental study sometime in December, and then complete in September of 19. And just a quick overview on the interchange study. We have to do what's called an interchange modification justification report, or an IMJR. We develop alternatives. We look at the traffic operations and how future projected traffic will work with the geometry that we have selected. We take a look at safety. We take a look at multimodal, such as bikes and pedestrians, multi-use paths. We look at access, and we look at constructability of all the interchange options. And then we go on to the environmental review. And during this process, we consider all of the resources governed by the NEPA process. And we determine what process we need to go through, whether that's a categorical exclusion or a CADX or a full environmental assessment. Again, another graphic of the bridge girder after it was hit. The project purpose is the driving force is the replacing the bridge, and in doing so, we want to make sure that we build it big enough, wide enough to handle future traffic needs, and also increase the clearance so that strikes don't happen. And also, we want to accommodate pedestrians and bicyclists. So the strike in 2014 cost roughly $270,000, not including state employee and mileage costs. And then in 2016, the repair was around $585,000. And obviously, as you guys all lived through, substantial delays and closures. So with the interchange options we analyzed was a standard diamond, which is out there now, a standard diamond with roundabouts at the ramp termini, and then a standard diamond with Western Avenue shifted west, which would allow for traffic to be maintained either 1 or 2 lanes during construction across the bridge. And then we looked at the standard diamond with the roundabout, also with Western Avenue shifted west to accommodate traffic during construction across the bridge. Then we looked at a standard diamond with roundabouts with I-90 lowered, and that would be options 5 and 6. And then 7 and 8 were with regrading I-90 to lower it to increase the clearance under the bridge with Western Avenue shifted west. We looked at both roundabouts and a standard diamond. And then we also took a look at the standard diamond with I-90 actually going over Western Avenue and Western Avenue being lowered to go underneath the interstate. And so some of the criteria we used to screen these options and evaluate them were cost, how well you can maintain traffic during construction, construction impact, and how would it handle future traffic. And just a real quick overview of our evaluation matrix. The alternatives that we carried forward were options 1, 2, 3, and 4, which were the standard diamond with roundabouts, the standard diamond with Western Avenue shifted west, and then the standard diamond with roundabouts, also with Western Avenue shifted west. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 were not carried forward. With lowering of I-90, it created a lot more environmental impacts. We were getting into wetlands, drainage issues, especially with the southeast quadrant, which already is experiencing some drainage issues. There were also concerns with lowering the grade and the subgrade actually getting into the water table, which tends to degrade the subgrade, and ultimately your pavement life is significantly decreased. And so those were the main reasons that 5 through 8 were not carried forward. Option 9, with I-90 going over, Western Avenue going under, there was a significant amount of earthwork, environmental impacts, and major closures, and very difficult to maintain any sort of traffic during construction. So that one was not carried forward either. And just a quick overview of the Western Avenue corridor, the matrix we looked at. We looked at a 2-lane rural section north of the interchange, a 3-lane urban section that would be 2 through lanes and a center turn lane going the whole way with curb and gutter on each side. And then a 2-lane rural section with a shared use path south of the interchange, a 2-lane rural section with a shared use path south of the interchange, or without, I'm sorry, shared use path. And then we also were looking to realign the frontage road that is currently in the southwest quadrant. So just a quick run through on those options not carried forward. Again, the standard diamond with I-90 lowered. A lot of earthwork with this option, and environmental impacts. And so this one was not carried forward. Similar situation with the roundabouts. The only difference obviously is roundabouts at the interchange versus just the standard intersection. This option was not pulled forward with lowering of I-90. Again, the standard diamond with Western Avenue shifted west. Same issues with lowering of I-90 and the drainage issues and wetland impacts. This one was not carried forward. And then the standard diamond with roundabouts, lowered I-90 and Western Avenue shifted west. This one was not carried forward due to the same reasons. And I-90 going over Western Avenue was not carried forward with the substantial earthwork and environmental impacts. So the ones that we did pull forward that we would be looking for your input on and what you would prefer, that we would pull forward as a recommended alternative. The first one is the standard diamond, similar to what's out there now. The big thing with this one is the Western Avenue corridor would be in the same spot that it is. And so one lane could be maintained for just a short time during construction. But for the most part, with the old bridge coming out, the new one coming in, there would be times of total closure of the bridge. And there would not be able to be traffic going from south to north or north to south. The standard diamond with roundabouts, again, Western Avenue and the proposed bridge is proposed on the same alignment. Roundabouts at the ramp termini. Traffic for the most part, could be one lane for a period of time during construction, but for the most part, it would be closed due to the existing bridge being taken out, new bridge being put in the exact same spot. And basically with all these options, the new bridge would be raised roughly 4 to 5 feet and some deeper girders put in. And so the clearance would, we don't have that nailed down yet, and it would be in final design, but it would be increased, probably 3 feet or so vertical clearance. And the standard diamond of Western Avenue shifted west. The standard diamond, Western Avenue would be shifted a certain distance, and that's another piece of information we'd be looking for from you guys is, would you prefer to see one lane maintained during construction, or two, the more that it's offset, the cost increases a little bit, and there may be a little bit longer construction period, but you are able to maintain 2 lanes going across. The right-of-way impacts and all these standard diamond layouts are pretty minimal, with the exception of this frontage road that we're looking to realign and line up with Jeffrey Street here. And the fourth interchange option pulled forward is a standard diamond with roundabouts and the Western Avenue shifted to the west. Again, the bridge construction would be staged to where you could, depending on the amount of shift, you could maintain 1 or 2 lanes during construction. And so basically the existing structure would be used while the new western half of the new structure is being built. And then when that's at a point where it can handle traffic would be routed on to the new portion and the old would be taken out. And then the eastern half of the bridge, new bridge would be built and traffic would just be kind of flopped until construction is done. With these bridge staged options, it would cost between probably $200,000 to $400,000 more and would add roughly 2 months to the construction time frame, but you would have 2 lanes of traffic being maintained during construction across I-90. And so just some information on the roundabouts. This is coming from the FHWA website. They do show significant safety improvements. Essentially what they do is they eliminate the left-hand turn. So all movements are to the right, just right-hand turns, and they eliminate points of conflict basically from left-hand turns. And so several studies show reduction in crashes and substantial reduction in fatalities. And just a couple of bullets on standard intersections versus the roundabout. The standard intersection, you'll see decreased safety just due to the conflicts in the left-hand turns. With the standard intersection, eventually traffic signals would be required, and those are roughly in today's dollars $200,000 per intersection. So at this interchange, once both of the warrants would be met, it would be $400,000 in today's dollars. With the improvements that we're proposing to Western Avenue, the signal warrants would be met roughly in 2040, according to our models, which, I mean, that could change depending on the growth of the city and development and whatnot. But our projections would be roughly 2040 that signals, at least one would be needed. The advantage of a standard intersection is drivers are familiar with them. If the alignment shift options are chosen, the Western Avenue shift would be a little more noticeable. You'd see, a jog over and a jog back. And a wider bridge would be needed because there would be a center turn lane going across the bridge. And so with the roundabout option, we would be able to do a narrower bridge because with the roundabouts, you don't need a center turning lane because everything's a right turn. And so it would be a 5-foot median versus a 12-foot lane. And so you'd be saving 7 feet of bridge width. And in today's dollars, we estimate bridges are around $125 a square foot. So that with roughly a 200-foot long bridge by 50 to 60 feet wide, I mean, that adds up pretty fast. So with the roundabout, you'll see increased safety due to the decreased conflict points. They don't require traffic signals. The disadvantage is that there's not a ton of them around, and so the familiarity is low. It takes a little bit to get used to them. Another advantage is the alignment shift isn't as noticeable because you're going around a right-hand turn and then you just come out of it at the new alignment point. And so you won't have to have, the distinct jogs. Another nice feature is that we've heard that this interchange, will potentially be the gateway into Hartford. And so with roundabouts, you have a pretty good sized center area that you can landscape and make look nice, adding to the pleasing nature of it. Just some examples, aerial shots. This is the standard interchange that was done within the last 10 years. The I-29 Canton exit, standard interchange, standard diamond interchange. And here's a example of a roundabout at the ramp termini. And this was I-94 and the County Highway H in Wisconsin. This is just a graphic showing the standard intersection versus the roundabout, and you can see the amount of conflict points due to the left-hand turns. 32 with the standard intersection and 8 with the roundabout. The same thing applies with pedestrians. There are 16 conflict points with a standard intersection, and with a roundabout, there's only 8. And so some of the concerns with roundabouts have been that you can't get a tractor trailer through there. What we've done is taken this design vehicle. It's an Ashto WB67 vehicle, and it's a 15-foot cab with a 53-foot trailer. And we've run this thing through the roundabout. And you can't see it from the back. We do have a board in the back of the room that shows the wheel paths, and they're able to navigate through the roundabout. What they do is the trailer itself will go up on the truck apron, which is a 12-foot wide concrete pathway that's raised up from the main driving lane, and it's typically with a ramped curb. It's a 4-inch rise versus a standard curb that's 6-inch rise. So the trailer will ride up on that and, follow it around to its desired exit point. And then the normal cars and smaller trucks will stay within the driving lane. Yeah. And these are, the way we have these laid out right now is it's a 30-foot wide main driving lane and a 12-foot wide truck apron. And I know there's been concerns with load shifting and whatnot with the trailer riding up on top of the truck apron. There have been roundabouts done that with the smaller curb. We don't like to go too small because then it encourages shortcutting. The car that will just come riding along in here and just cut the pie. So we want to discourage anything but the trailer combos to use those. And so there was a roundabout done through a DOT project near Watertown at Highway 81 and 20th Avenue. And we'll actually show that to you now. And you can see the bigger trucks going through that. Granted, this roundabout is a little bigger footprint than what we'll have or what we're proposing here. This is just a temporary construction road. Okay, then we'll go to the BX Civil was the contractor on this job, and they put together a video as well. So this truck apron is generally a colored concrete. So there you can see the truck using the truck apron. All right. So this is just a general summary of the build options, options 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very similar in cost. The options where Western Avenue is online or on the same alignment would require full closure at some point during construction. Whereas the offset alignments, options 3 and 4, depending on the alignment shift, you could maintain 1 or 2 lanes across I-90 at all times during construction. So for the Western Avenue corridor, north of the interstate, basically the option that we carried forward was the urban section, the curb and gutter with 2 through lanes and a center turning lane, going all the way up to just beyond Mickelson Road, just north of Mickelson Road, with multi-use path on the east side and on the west side, standard sidewalk. And south of the interstate, the option that we carried forward was a 2-lane rural section. There's a left-hand turn with a left-hand turn lane to Jeffrey Street. So southbound to eastbound and onto Jeffrey would have a left-hand turn lane. And then from Jeffrey north to the interchange would have a multi-use path on the east side. And then south of Jeffrey would just be a 2-lane rural section road. And so for the closure options and for the offset alignments, there will be times when the on and off ramps will not be able to be used just for sequencing and staging and flopping of traffic. And so the detour routes, what we wanted to do was to stay on the state controlled highways to avoid having to maintain and damage county or township roads. And so to the west, we would be using Highway 19, which is 8 miles west. To the south would be Highway 42, 4.5 miles south. East would be Marion Road, 8 miles east. and north would be Highway 38, which is 1.5 miles north of the interchange. And so hopefully you all got a comment card. If not, we'll be happy to pass them out. But what we're looking for is your thoughts on which alternative you'd like to be the recommended alternative. That would be options 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being the standard diamond with Western Avenue in its essentially current alignment. 2 being the standard diamond with roundabouts with Western Avenue being on its current alignment. 3 being the standard diamond with Western Avenue shifted. And then 4 being the standard diamond with roundabouts with Western Avenue being shifted as well. And so we're accepting comments until December 10th, at which time we'd like to huddle up with the study advisory team and move forward with the recommended alternative. So then after we have the recommended alternative, we can continue on with the interchange report and start the environmental process. And so you can write down your comments tonight and give them to us. You can email them to myself or Steve Graham. We have our contact information on the flyers, on the board here, on the presentation. You can submit them via the project website, and you can email them to Steve or I. Like I said, call us. Various ways. But we'd like to hear from you. And so the next step is to select a recommended alternative to start the interchange report, which is the IMGR, and to start and complete the environmental document. So then once that's all completed, we can start on final design and be on track for construction in 2025. So here's our website, I-90 exit 387study.com. And we have a couple more videos to show you. Okay. Just on a project in Killdeer, North Dakota, and another one the Nebraska DOT put together. So this one was completed when the oil activity was really high in North Dakota, and so you'll see a lot of tractor trailers going through there. And as I understand it, Killdeer was so impressed with these that they put in 2 more. Is that right, Becky?
That's right.
We can probably go to the next one. So this is a video that the Nebraska DOT put together. So this has a pretty low truck apron. It's not elevated substantially. But it's generally a colored concrete to distinguish it from the main travel lanes. So what questions do you guys have before we let you? Yes, sir.
How much longer and wider is the approach to the bridge on Western Avenue have to be for roundabouts versus a standard crossover? You know, because the roundabout's gonna take a lot more width. So how is there?
So actually, with the roundabout on the bridge, it could be a narrower bridge.
Right, I'm saying the actual Western Avenue itself with the roundabout is, because those are all dealt in big flat open areas, those roundabouts are not
Right.
incline.
We
How
actually,
much wider, longer your approach has to be?
well, it would be a bigger footprint, but it's not taking, I mean, maybe a couple of slivers off of the corners of the properties, you know, but there's a pretty good chunk of right of way in there existing to where the size of roundabout we'd be looking at here would actually fit in there.
So the roundabout would be on the flat part before it starts inclining that angle then?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, so there wouldn't be a whole lot of grade, you know, going from here to here. I mean, there'd be some, but for the most part, we'd be climbing up on our ramps here to get up to grade. And our goal is to flatten this a little bit to get a better sight distance across there. Yes, sir.
So we got to vote on one through 4. What if everybody here would like 7, 8, or 9? That's not an option. If everybody here would like on their comment card, put down, say 7, or, and I'm not.
You
is
certainly
that not
can.
an option. If everybody would put down
7.
they like this option instead of 1 through 4.
Then we would huddle back with the study advisory team, and we would definitely take that into account.
Okay.
Yep. We're just trying to streamline it.
Yep.
Yes.
I understand.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
If you were to shift Western Avenue, approximately where would you start that shift? And would it shift west?
Yes, it would shift west. And
I'm very visual, so I'm trying to picture where you would start
Right.
that shift.
yep.
And along with that, with the Western Avenue shift, the construction costs were basically the same. So does the construction cost include the Western Avenue shift, or is that part of the burden of the city? Or is that included in the construction costs of the overpass redesign?
There would be, you know, kind of the line of demarcation you were kind of showing with the roundabout options. There, I go to a roundabout. Well, for the standard diamond, it was kind of, you know, once you get around the radius, that would be considered the state portion. I mean, all this would be ironed out between the DOT and the city, obviously, too. But kind of the initial thought was, okay, once you get around the radius, anything south of that would be city. Anything north of the north radius would be city. With the roundabout options, must not be shown.
You're not on your computer.
Oh, I'm not.
Oh, are we on mine?
best place probably to look at that shift is on one of the boards in the back where they got a lot more of Western Avenue.
We're still on me, but that's.
I have just another question about the roundabouts. Like a lot of tractors go for their grades and elevators, so the slower moving traffic, they go through the roundabouts just as well as all the semis and.
Yeah, so basically the roundabout is a traffic calming device, and so you're basically only going 15, 20 around there, and so yeah, the larger vehicles can navigate that. Yes, sir.
What's the posted speed limit going into the roundabout? Because now it's 45. There's been discussion on changing the speed limit,
Yeah, it would definitely be slower going through there.
but it's only suggested. I think usually it's not a posted speed limit. So like a yellow cautionary sign.
There's been no conversations about changing the speed limit at this point.
What it would
Posted
change.
speed limit, but I mean, just like when, if you came to a signalized intersection, you're gonna slow down, so you have to slow down for roundabouts too.
Is there yield signs or
I think
stop
that's
signs?
under
For the roundabout, there would be yield signs to enter the roundabout.
Do you have a preferred design so far in committee?
No.
It sounds like you're trying to sell us on roundabouts, and all you talked about is roundabouts so far.
No,
Yeah.
in England, they built their bridges as roundabouts, so then the roundabout is the bridge itself.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
That is, yes.
They have one of them in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
How many roundabouts are we got on Interstate 90 and take us South Dakota?
Zero.
Not at the moment,
Worthington.
But that's not South Dakota.
but you get into Minnesota, you just gotta go to Worthington.
We're not in Minnesota.
Given option four,
what's the traffic capacity on that?
Traffic capacity of
So
option
what point
4
does option 4 become congested and needs to be rebuilt? I mean, is there a certain number where that's going to reach that?
from a single to a double.
I mean, at this point, we're using 2050 traffic projections, and we're seeing acceptable operations with our 2050 traffic projections, which are based on the MPO's traffic model. Obviously, the town could grow faster or whatever, so that those projections. We're trying to predict the future here, so we may be a little off, but we're seeing acceptable operations, really with either a signalized option or a roundabout option.
Yes, sir.
So with option 3 and 4, if you were to shift and have a couple lanes on that, do you foresee any weight restrictions during that construction there? For trucks, spring trailers, all of those kind of things?
We had our structural engineers looking at that, and I would defer back to them, but they didn't mention anything, so I would say no. Any thoughts, Travis?
There probably have to be good restrictions, but standard legal loads, without a permit, that's it, they got 80,000 GVW, or higher, right after spaces. So no reduction in weights, but there would be a weight restriction, just like there always is when you have head traffic.
Yes, sir.
As a member of the Hartford Township Board, the last time you guys closed this place down, is there any money put forth for people not following the detour route? Because it costs the township a bunch of money to maintain and replace gravel on our roads.
Right.
No one's gonna follow your proposed detour.
Absolutely,
From
it's-
38.
it's ridiculous.
Hartford on 38, they'll take that over to I-90 and that's it. Everywhere else goes more than
And I talked to the engineer on the last one. He said, "Well, they're not following our detour." I said, "Well, if you thought they were going to follow your detour, you didn't think very hard. No one's going to drive all the way to Marion Road to
Right.
come back.
And
They end up driving down my
yeah,
road."
we know that a good chunk, I forget what the percentage is, won't follow the detour route and they'll eventually find their own way. And I know discussing with the study advisory team, there would obviously be discussions and agreements made between DOT and
Because the last
townships
time
and
it was
whatnot.
closed down, there's a lot of farmers hauling grain to the elevator. And it beat the roads.
Yeah, that would definitely be looked at during construction and design.
Can we go back to my question about where Western is gonna shift? There's a lot of people in this room, and I don't think we can all huddle around the board. If you could just give a quick synopsis of where Western might shift?
Sure.
North, south. Because that actually shows us pretty well. Launch it through.
This one?
You can actually see it. Right here, you can start to see that little curvature in the roadway.
Basically the driveway of the coffee cup.
The first,
Right.
or the southernmost driveway.
So you're basically gonna build a bridge beside the other bridge then.
Correct.
Not too terribly far. Okay.
Yep.
Can you do that with business right away?
Yes. Yep. Yep. There'd be slivers of right of way taken for the ramps, and then I don't believe in this option. With the roundabout options, we'd be looking to acquire, just kind of the generic corners of the quadrants, and then obviously with this frontage road, we'd be looking to acquire around 5 acres.
If you did the roundabout, you wouldn't have to do the frontage road that way. You could bring it right into the roundabout, couldn't you? You would be able to.
No, we'd still want to maintain our DOT standards for control of access and bring it down to.
You're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
be extending the on ramps so they're longer, so you have more speed up time.
Yeah, we'd be
It'd be more like the updated ones.
right. We'd be extending them. Right now, they're a little bit short of DOT standards, and so we'd be building them back to the DOT standards. Yes, sir.
On options 1 and 3, is there a turning lane when you go?
Yes. Yep. Center turning lane going all the way through and across the bridge. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
How far north, you said just past Nicholson, Avenue, how far past?
How far past? Okay, so it's just I'm not exactly sure what business this is, but just beyond that.
That's the church.
Okay.
Church. Yeah.
Miller Finger Homes.
Yes, sir.
What is the DOT recommendation and why?
Right now, we don't, and the DOT doesn't have one. We're looking for input from you guys to determine what a recommended alternative would be, and then, move forward with the interchange study and environmental report, at which time, there can be more public comment.
How much frontage do you actually take when you do that?
From
From
the,
the church and over right next to the church?
do you know, Becky, how much right away?
Very minimal.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
believe
it's
it's
much.
just at that intersection, there's a little bit there. And we have boards so we can show you a little bit better. I'm sorry, it's hard to see from here, but mainly we were within the right of way. But there's a small sliver by the intersection there.
Yes, sir.
Why are there stripes on the interstate and this bridge? We have stripes on other bridges.
Usually the reason is this is the first one.
That's actually a very good point.
That is the reason, this is the first put I-29 and come west. It's the first one that gets hit.
Everything else is.
So after
You
that.
were over, over down.
There's currently a bridge closed between Chamberlain and Papuana because of the bridge stuff. It's being repaired right now.
What's the difference in height that needs to be?
Well, our standard is to try to build to 18 feet, to maintain a minimum of 17. No matter how high we build it, someone's gonna try to drive.
I think he's asking the difference between the bottom now and the bottom of the meter. Vertical increase.
2 to 3 feet depending on the girth.
Why not double the beams and make them go and leave the?
Y'all talk to a bridge engineer, I don't know. I'm sure there's a structural difference. I'm not a bridge engineer, so.
How long will this take? From beginning to end, how long will it take?
So basically, it would take one construction season, anticipated. With the staged bridge constructions, with the Western Avenue being shifted and the bridge being built offline, it would take roughly 2 months extra. And so the bridge would take, instead of 6 months, it would take 8 months and would cost an additional up to $400,000. So.
Would it be cheaper just to put on and off ramps instead of that roundabout? Seems to be pushing.
Yeah, based on our initial estimates, the standard diamond would be about $1 million cheaper, but then you got to factor in, eventual stoplights, which are around 200,000 each. So you'd have 400,000 plus maintenance costs.
I don't think it's that big an accident.
Again, we're looking at 2050 traffic projections, and we're trying to predict out, so at some point in the future, as the traffic continues to grow, there could be a need out there for the traffic signals.
So what's your life expectancy of the new bridge?
Bridges are typically 75 years.
75 years is what we're hoping to do.
Do you have any, what's your construction season, and do you have any general contractors in mind?
No. So this would be, we're in the initial stages of it, and then when we get through the study phase, design would take 2 years, maybe 3, and 2025 would be the target fiscal year to be building it. And so, probably with this one, a bridge contractor would probably prime it. Maybe an earthwork contractor, larger one.
Any I guess, you put your comments up here, but nobody from the south? No southern contractors, only northern, because southern contractors don't know what a freezer is. You laugh at me, but I've dealt with southern contractors that don't know what cold ground is.
Right.
So a construction season down south might be January, 12 months a year. Up here, it's 10 months.
Right.
Or less. 8.
Yeah.
So, I guess, get a northern contractor.
When you say fiscal year 2025, what does that mean in terms of calendar year? Is that 2025 or is that 2024 or is that 2026?
July.
What is-
Federal fiscal year, so it's October 1st to September 30th. So it'd be October 1st, 2024 to September 30th. That's when it would be black. So typically interstate projects, we like to let them late winter time. So it's probably, the lighting would probably actually be November, December, January of 24, 25. And then construction would probably more than likely be the summer. It's all contingent upon us being able to get the right of way we need and design getting done in time. And have the money at the time.
You had mentioned that the bridge gets struck one more time, the DOT would want it replaced. So then would you just bring it up to the standards
that you're looking at here, I would assume?
Well, that would depend on when and hopefully it doesn't get struck again. But if it was struck, say, in the next year, it would just be that girder that would need to be replaced. Ideally, that wouldn't happen. But yeah, we wouldn't have the design done in time in order to build it to the actual standards. It would just be a girder replacement.
We're on it every other year right now anyway, so.
I was gonna say, have it twice the loss.
How often do you have
Let's
to
do this
replace the apron and the roundabouts when,
Yes.
because we get a lot of semis that come in here to Salmons, I mean, do they have to have any statistics out there that say how often they have to replace those aprons?
I haven't seen any. I mean, I would say it's just like the standard interstate pavement. I mean, they're designed to take the heavy loading. So it wouldn't be any different than the main driving lanes.
Right. From a structural standpoint, I mean, you wouldn't have to replace the apron any more than you would have to replace the driving lane. In one of those videos, maybe you picked up on it, it did show that the apron was kind of getting worn a little bit. That was just the coloring on the apron itself. I mean, the structural capabilities of the apron are still there.
Yes, sir.
With the initial video you showed, you mentioned that roundabout was larger than what was being proposed. How much smaller is the one being proposed? Do we have any experience with that? And were any of the other videos of a smaller roundabout?
So you said the Watertown one was around 175 feet in diameter, and so this one, the inside diameter would be 120 feet. So that would be to the very inner circle of the truck apron. The truck apron is 12 feet wide. So the outer edge of the truck apron would be a 72-foot radius, and then it's another 30 feet of pavement for the main driving lane.
Are there any of the videos of that size?
I'd have to look into that to be sure, like what the Killdeer roundabout was.
I don't know specifically what the radius is on this Nebraska video, but it is a smaller one than the Watertown one. You can tell just by looking at it. But.
What happens when a wind turbine truck goes through a roundabout? Close it down.
They just go over the center.
You know, in England, they just paint a circle on the ground. So you drive around.
Yeah, I know that there have been some or a lot of them that get off the exit and go back on because of the low clearance. With the increased clearance, they should be able just to stay on the main line. But if they did happen to pull off,
For gas, so they come here all the time.
Then it's just like a right turn.
Right turn.
Coming back is the right turn.
They're all right.
To get across this highway to get get fuel, it's a left turn.
But that's past the roundabout, that's it.
That's
The gas
right.
stations are doing it now. How far is the entrance to the gas station you be from the roundabout?
Pretty much where the existing intersection is right now, right?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't change.
yeah, the existing roundabout would be basically right at the existing ramp intersections now, plus or minus a few feet.
Coming off the intersection.
Right.
I heard once that there was a roundabout proposed for Nicholson and Lester. Is that true? Is that part of this plan or not? Never heard of nothing.
I've never seen one, and
Okay.
that's not on the table. You get, if you'd like to see one, you can certainly write that down. And
It's not a suggestion that happen.
Okay.
Very young people drive.
Today's traffic count versus 25.
today's traffic versus 2050.
Oh, I don't have that at my fingertips. Overboard.
Right now, Western Avenue is high grass.
Western Avenue is about 6,000 cars a day. I don't know how much of that is the south of the interstate. It's probably quite a bit less. You get
Yeah, to the north of the interchange, you're right. It's about 6,000 cars a day, and it's projected to be closer to about 10,000 in 2050. North of the interchange, south it's quite a bit less than that. South it's 2050 is about 5,000.
What's it doing another by 2030? We go from 10 to 20,000 cars. We start getting growth out in this area.
I'm sorry. The numbers I just rattled off for 2050 projections. So, I mean, it's between now and then.
I think the comment that's maybe being echoed here is what if the projections are grossly under?
Right. So, at 10,000 cars a day, like we're seeing in 2050, with the operations that we were analyzing, we've got some extra capacity there. Obviously, if something happens in Hartford, there's a boom here and a lot of houses get built, there's potential there that, our numbers could be low. But the thing about either alternative is you can still build more. You can always expand it.
Easy to make another right turn lane on a roundabout.
Right. Yeah. So you could add right turn lanes, or you could, these are single lane roundabouts, but if the need was there, you could look at it as a dual lane roundabout in the future at some point. Similarly with the signals, I mean, you could add lanes to the signalized intersections if need be.
Go back to the gentleman's question about smaller roundabouts. Lincoln County just opened one up at Louise Avenue in Lincoln County 106. That's a smaller roundabout. It's in the country, there's cornfields in 3 or 4 quadrants.
Would it be the size of the one in Southeast?
That one's a little bigger because that one's designed to eventually become a dual lane.
What would be the cost impact to design it now as a dual lane? What concerns me is when you saw a video of a larger roundabout designing smaller ones, so it's maybe not giving us a good impression of how it might work. So what would be the cost of this dual lane?
Be an extra lane of traffic. Going a 5-lane road versus a 3-lane.
I never that much.
And the question then is Western going to become a 5-lane? So if Western's not a 5-lane road, you don't need dual lanes at the ramp.
So you don't have the answers.
Not off the top of our head. We don't calculate
I mean, you could have a good example of Brandon. That ramp there needs to be redone. You got 4 lanes coming from south.
Yeah, but we're not looking at roundabouts.
No, I realize that.
We're actually looking at a diverging diamond.
Oh, what is that?
Diverging diamond.
Well, you crop the other. You must have a traffic.
Yeah,
You must
Brandon
have
has a
heavy
lot of
traffic flow there.
Brandon only has 1 interchange, Hartford. Suitally has 2 interchanges.
Any other questions?
There were cookies at the last meeting, guys.
Sorry, that was my fault.
I think it's.
Your knees were hanging.
That goes on your sheet.
The holiday messed me up.
So feel free to take a look at the boards, come talk to any of us. But yeah, we appreciate you coming. Thank you for your input, and please fill out your comment cards and let us know. Thank you.
Dump that frontage road right into that roundabout for no reason. It really is. Have you ever been over there and been on a lot of roundabouts?
I mean, just in the city, like in